Have you ever wondered why so many long-married women seem more irritated with their husbands as the years go by? Why the sparkle in their eyes slowly fades? Not because of aging, but because of something deeper, something quieter and heavier. You might think, oh, it's just old married couple stuff. But what's really happening is often far more serious than people are willing to admit. Behind the soft sighs, the subtle eye rolls at the dinner table, and the heavy silences during car rides, there are years, sometimes decades, of buried emotions, unmet needs, and growing emotional distance. This video isn't about blaming anyone. It's not about making husbands the villains or wives the martyrs. It's about understanding a powerful pattern that shows up in so many long-term marriages, especially as couples grow older. And here's the truth. Most men never see it coming. One day, they wake up and feel like their wife has gone cold, distant, even resentful, and they don't understand why. But those feelings didn't appear overnight. They've been building slowly, over years, through missed moments, unspoken needs, quiet disappointments. So whether you're a husband noticing a shift, a wife quietly aching inside, or someone who wants to better understand this stage of life, stay with us. Because what we explore today could be the key to healing years of emotional distance or preventing it altogether. Let's take a heartfelt, honest look at 5 reasons why this happens. And more importantly, how we can face it together with compassion, clarity, and courage. Reason 1. Emotional neglect wears her down quietly. One of the most overlooked reasons women grow to resent their husbands with age isn't loud or dramatic. It's quiet. So quiet, in fact, that most men don't even realize it's happening. It's called emotional neglect. Now, this doesn't mean a man is mean or abusive or absent. It simply means he stops showing up in the ways that matter most. Not physically, but emotionally. In the early years, many husbands check in, they listen, they remember the little things. But as life becomes busy, kids, work, bills, routines, many men unintentionally slip into what I call maintenance mode. They stop asking their wives how they really feel. They stop noticing signs of stress. They start assuming that silence means everything's fine. And over time, a woman's emotional tank runs dry. Then one day, when the house is quieter, the kids are gone, and life slows down, she finally has the time to feel again. And what she feels is emptiness. She thinks, I've spent 30 years giving, but does he even see me anymore? That realization doesn't just hurt. It devastates. I once spoke to a 72-year-old woman named Linda. She said, he's a good man. He never cheated, never hit me, never left, but he hasn't asked me how I feel about anything since night. That sentence hit me like a brick, because that's what emotional neglect looks like. Not loud, not obvious, but heartbreaking. The good news, this can be reversed. Emotional neglect doesn't mean a marriage is doomed, but it does require awareness. It requires presence. It requires a man to start noticing again, to ask, to listen, to show up, not with grand gestures, but with small, consistent care. And it requires a woman to feel safe enough to speak her truth again. Because when she says, you haven't really seen me in years, that's not a complaint. That's a final plea for connection. And ignoring it could mean losing the very bond that once brought you together. Reason 2. Built-up resentment from unequal responsibilities. As the years go by, many women don't just feel tired. They feel tired of being tired alone. It's not one big moment that breaks her. It's the accumulation of decades spent carrying more than her fair share, often without thanks or even acknowledgement. Especially in marriages that began in the 60s or 70s, there were unspoken rules. He earned the paycheck. She did everything else. She cooked, cleaned, raised the kids, remembered birthdays, planned holidays, managed doctor's visits, handled family emergencies. Even when she started working outside the home, the household responsibilities often didn't shift. And after 30, 40, or even 50 years, something inside her breaks. She feels used up, not because of one cruel act, but from a lifetime of being expected to keep everything running, while her husband just helped out. And that phrase, helped out, says everything. Because you don't help out with something that's equally yours. You share it. You participate. You own it together. I remember Karen, 68, telling me, I don't hate my husband because he's a bad man. I hate the way I disappeared every time there was work to do. That's not bitterness. That's unappreciated exhaustion. And here's what happens psychologically. When someone feels taken for granted for too long, they stop giving freely. Every unwashed dish, every forgotten anniversary, every what's for dinner becomes a quiet reminder that the scales were never balanced. And in retirement, when life slows down and the distractions fade, that imbalance becomes impossible to ignore. What once felt like tolerance becomes resentment. But here's the hope. Most men don't realize this dynamic exists until it's gently pointed out. Not out of malice, but habit, generation, social norms. And change doesn't require guilt, it just requires recognition. A sincere, "I realize how much you've done, and I should have said it more often," can begin to melt years of unspoken pain. Because what she really wants isn't perfection. She wants presence. She wants someone to see her, to share the load, and to acknowledge the effort. Especially now, if you're still watching and finding this meaningful, comment number 2 below. It lets us know you're here, and it truly helps us continue making these heartfelt videos for you. Now let's continue. Reason 3, emotional disconnection becomes impossible to ignore. In younger years, life is so fast-paced that emotional distance can hide. Jobs, kids, errands, routines. It all fills the silence. But in retirement, there's no hiding. Now it's just the two of you. And that space between you can start to feel like a canyon. Many women spend their later years craving more than companionship. They want connection. They want conversation. They want to be seen, heard, and understood. But instead, they get silence. They sit across from a man who grunts during dinner, watches TV all evening, and replies to serious questions with, "Huh," or "I don't know." And over time, that quiet pain begins to feel like betrayal. Alice, 73, once told me he used to notice when I was sad. Now I could cry into my soup and he wouldn't even look up. That's emotional starvation. Not because of what he's doing, but because of what he's not doing. And it chips away at a woman's sense of worth. She starts to wonder, do I matter? Am I boring? Am I too much? And eventually she might think, if I have to sit across from someone for the rest of my life who won't even look at me, I'd rather be alone. But here's the thing, most men don't mean to create that disconnection. They've simply never been taught how to connect emotionally. But it's never too late to learn. Even small efforts, eye contact, genuine listening, asking how she's been feeling, can begin to rebuild that fragile bridge. What she's asking for isn't perfection. She's asking for your heart. Reason 4. Feeling unappreciated after a lifetime of sacrifice. There's a quiet ache in many women's hearts as they age. The feeling that all they've given, decades of sacrifice, have gone unnoticed. She was the caregiver, the planner, the one who kept it all together. She gave up her dreams so others could pursue theirs. And she never asked for applause. But now, when life has slowed, she wonders, did anyone even notice what I gave up? When the answer feels like no, it doesn't create rage. It creates grief. It's not that she wants a trophy. She wants to be seen. To hear, "I couldn't have done this without you." But instead, she hears, "What's for dinner?" or "Did you pay that bill?" Linda, 68, put it this way. "I supported his business, raised our kids, ran the house, and now he doesn't even ask how my day was. I feel invisible." And that word invisible is one of the most heartbreaking words a long-married woman can say. But again, this can be healed. It doesn't take flowers or poems. It takes acknowledgement, presence, gratitude. A simple sentence like, "I was thinking about everything you've done for our family, and I just want to say thank you," can change everything. Because it turns the spotlight back on and reminds her that her sacrifices weren't in vain. If you're still with us and this resonates, comment number 4 below. Your support helps keep this important conversation going. Reason 5. Growing emotional independence and companionship needs. Many women in their 60s, 70s, even 80s begin to rediscover something powerful: their own emotional needs. After decades of focusing on everyone else, they finally ask themselves, what do I want now? And the answer isn't always dramatic. It's usually something simple yet deep. I want connection. I want warmth. I want to feel cherished. And here's the twist. Many of these women are not afraid to be alone. They've developed a quiet independence. They've learned that solitude can be peaceful, but they still want companionship. They want to feel chosen, not out of routine, but out of love. And if they don't feel that from their husband, sadness begins to settle in. Teresa, 72, told me, "He's never cheated, never hit me, never yelled, but I feel utterly alone." That's the kind of heartbreak that can't be seen from the outside. It's not about what he did wrong. It's about what stopped happening. Emotional connection doesn't fade all at once. It fades every time a story is dismissed, every time a touch is avoided, every time her presence is taken for granted. But here's the hopeful part. Connection can always be rebuilt. Start with curiosity. Ask, "Tell me what you've been feeling lately. I really want to know." Hold her hand, not out of habit, but from the heart. See her again, really see her, not just as your wife, but as the incredible woman she's still becoming. To the husbands watching this, please don't feel blamed. This isn't about guilt. It's about growth. To the wives nodding along, you're not ungrateful. You're not too much. You're human. The beauty of growing older is that we have space now for truth, for healing, for connection. You don't need grand gestures, just presence, kindness, curiosity. Start small. A walk, a conversation, a compliment. Because love after 60 isn't about being flawless. It's about being willing to show up, willing to try again, even if it's quiet, especially when it's quiet. Thank you for joining us today. Please leave a comment below. Share one insight that touched you and how you might use it in your life. Your voice matters, and your story might be the one that inspires someone else to begin again. Until next time.